So yeah, how do you feel about new versus old there, Kip?
Well, this is going to be really fascinating. I'm going to try to be as sort of objective as possible here.
And here we go, Cirrus Station. Nothing new here.
Yeah, basically the runs will be identical pretty much until after bombs, and shortly after that there'll be a little bit of divergence. But as Tracy was pointing out, I don't necessarily think these runners need an introduction, but just in case anybody's unaware, Behemoth87 is currently the world record holder in any percent, no major glitches, 100%, and he also has various world records in like boss RTAs and stuff like that. Zmusic is currently in second place in terms of route. He's the first player ever in Super Metroid history to achieve a 43 old route, and is currently second place in old route. And I think he exclusively runs any percent. So both players are absolutely top-end, excellent tier. I will say in advance that Behemoth will clearly have an advantage running new route, assuming that he doesn't die. Doesn't mean that he can't lose the match, but new route is able to cut, a significant portion of time if you're able to run the route properly. And since Behemoth's one of the best in the world, he should have somewhat of an advantage here.
Yeah, in general, at this level of a race, he doesn't necessarily need to die, so to speak, to lose this race, but it is going to take some major mistakes on his part for Zmusic to catch up with him. Just to give you an idea, Zmusic's PB at 43.51, and of course Behemoth with that world record time of 41.18 that he just achieved a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though I just listed a bunch of world records, that Behemoth has, I'm pretty confident that his, kind of biggest achievement so far in Super Metroid history was knocking me out of this tournament last round. So I guess he's got to be acting with or playing with a lot of confidence at this point.
Well, you are a tough out there, Kip. So. And here we go on the planet.
Somebody just asked about the Zmusic versus Galamaz match, and let me go ahead and sort of explain what happened there. That match never occurred. In the round of 16, Galamaz was supposed to face Krauser to make it to the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, Krauser had to drop out of the tournament, and then shortly thereafter, Galamaz had to drop out as well. So Zmusic didn't actually have a quarterfinal match.
Yeah, unfortunately, real life being a little bit trolly to some of our competitors.
Yeah, and that happens from time to time. But yeah, so here both runners are using what you would expect from the absolute top end runners. Both runners using Moonfall to move a little bit faster with their uncapped fall speed. And pretty much right now, you're just going to watch them, essentially do the same things. They'll probably run slightly different strats. For example, Behemoth will shoot these blocks and then fall, whereas you'll notice Zmusic did a down back. One kind of small thing that's really fascinating about Super Metroid is there are a lot of ways to run these strats, and a lot of it kind of depends on your control scheme. Behemoth runs with a control scheme that does not have an angle down, connected to a button. So sometimes he has to make up slightly altered strats to kind of accomplish what he wants to do.
Yeah, what impresses me the most about Behemoth not using that angle down is he does what is often called and named after him the Behemoth climb, which involves angle down. So he has to use his D-pad to do that instead of using the angle down button that the rest of us that try to use that strat use.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. It looks like he's got angle down, sometimes it'll look like he has angle down, like he's using it, but really when you see that, he's just using the D-pad.
And he gets up a little bit faster. Zmusic just behind with his wall jumps. It's always nice to see side by side with one doing each strat.
Yeah, both did an absolutely fantastic job. You're going to see a lot of really crisp movement here from both runners. Even though we expect there to be, some people here that have maybe not seen these runs or do not watch Super Metroid frequently, we probably will not go over every tiny detail of the run here, but focus a little bit more on the execution. And especially when they start, deviating their route, it's going to be somewhat difficult to tell exactly who's ahead when. There are certain markers you can look at, but generally speaking, there's not like a specific moment that definitely tells you. But Behemoth using kind of a new strat here. This BT fight was something that he talked about on the Discord. He saves a little bit of time by stopping BT from, basically from, he doesn't shoot BT while BT's in the air, which allows BT to land slightly earlier. So that's kind of a newer thing in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I find it amazing that almost 25 years since this game came out, and we're still finding new things.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, there's different ways of accomplishing basically the same thing. So it just kind of comes down to, your own creativity and what you're comfortable with. That's the beauty of this game. There's so much complexity. You can really change things up. But notice here, Behemoth will kill these pirates and try to get one missile drop, and then he'll continue. Zmusic just runs right through them. Behemoth, as we talk about all the time, trying to maintain a certain level of health since he will be going straight to Fantoon. Zmusic doesn't really have to worry about that with the Kraid fight. He should be able to make it to Kraid and then pick up any tank afterwards without much issue with his health. So that's why he doesn't worry about shooting those missiles there.
Yeah, as always, the idea of one E-tank, suitless Fantoon makes it a very difficult fight. Much more difficult than the Kraid fight upcoming for Zmusic. Get a nice bit of sync here on the mock ball.
Yeah, it looks like Behemoth has just the slightest of leads here, so a very tight matchup so far. And not that the early game is always identical, but I have noticed that the top-end runners, first of all, they're all good at everything, but in particular, they all seem to have incredibly powerful and strong early games, so I'm not surprised to see them, kind of close here.
Absolutely.
Little variation here, entering pink. Behemoth using the mock ball. Zmusic going to turn the ball up into the air. And notice that both runners were able to pick up the missile pack while still in their spin. That allows you to pick up the item just a bit faster than landing on the ground. You'd be surprised. I mean, I think I'm saying something that just about everybody already knows, but the difference between, different tiers of runners in this game and oftentimes comes down to really small nuances. You'd be surprised at what little tiny, optimizations can add up to by the end of a run. So a lot of these upper end runners are able to do things that their average runner would have difficulty doing. And you don't necessarily see it all immediately, but it certainly adds up by the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And here comes the first major divergence. So Behemoth's going to go up, Zmusic's going to go down.
Gorgeous red tower there by Behemoth.
Absolutely.
A lot of times you can charge your shot there and have your shot move a little bit slower to make that a bit easier. That's typically what I do, but he just immediately fired and then ran up. Zmusic heading down, and one kind of small thing, notice Zmusic just ran through the tube there. He can't break it because he doesn't have a power bomb, and he probably doesn't want to anyway. Behemoth, the first time he goes through that tube, he'll actually break it, but he will not enter Meridia. That's because he's going to come back to it later and try to ignore the breaking of the tube the second time.
Yeah, he'll have that power bomb. He'll also have gravity suit, which is one of the reasons why Z would not want to break it right now anyway, because trying to go back through it without gravity suit just slows you down. Exactly.
He's going to have to run through it, or I guess really enter that room 2 more times. So it's not something he's going to be able to, he's not going to, he wouldn't want to do it anyway, like you said, but he doesn't even have the ability. Real quick, one thing that I think just about everybody knows is Behemoth is coming up on what I refer to as one of the sort of major choke points of New Route. This is what kind of makes New Route a little bit more difficult and scary in a one-run race scenario. It's the moat. It's actually quite easy to get stuck here, but I expect him to get over first try, per the usual.
And he does. Doesn't get the CWJ, does get the horizontal bomb jump.
Great job. And then also Zmusic cleaning up Kraid, no issue. And he picks up his various suit there. So both runners off to a great start. And now Behemoth will be heading to his Fantoon fight. Obviously, both routes have to fight all 4 of the bosses, but there's a pretty significant difference in how they have to fight those bosses. And in my personal opinion, I kind of feel like Phantoon with just Doppler missiles is probably one of the major differences. I personally find using X factors and other strats that are used in old route to be significantly easier. It's very difficult to get 2-round Phantoon consistent. And so that's one of the most impressive things about the run. So we'll see if Behemoth gets the drops he needs and if he can deliver the 2-round here.
Now let me point out, Zmusic skipped the Kraid E-Tank. So we are, being that we're in the semifinals, all the safeties are off. So just going for the best, fastest strats you can. So I suspect they'll both do 3 tank runs.
Looked like Behemoth didn't quite get as many missiles as he wanted there, unless I miscounted, but he's going to have to do a significant Doppler here, or even potentially just go for a 3-round. Let's see what he does. Yeah, he went for a really tough 2-round, and then when it didn't quite work out, he just kind of gave up on it, and he should be able to clean it up pretty easily now. Unfortunately, he kind of got punished for it because Phantoon traditionally gives a slow pattern if you have to 3-round. All right, very nice.
Now he only gives a fast round if you actually want, if you need ammo or something, and when you need that slow round.
Exactly.
But Phantoon's down.
For sure. And, just to be clear, for anybody who's not familiar with running both routes, just because, and I kind of want to encourage even, not necessarily new runners to do new route, but anybody who's considering doing new route, a 2-round Phantoon with consistency is not something that is absolutely required to run the route. Even though, Behemoth had a 3-round, and in particular, I think a mid slow, he's still going to make up and save a ton of time in routing alone. So just because he didn't get a 2-round doesn't mean that he's losing a massive amount of time versus what, potentially Zmusic could get.
Oh, and plus, who knows, Zmusic, no guarantee he's getting a 2-round either.
Exactly. So Zmusic now going through, I kind of mention this every time I'm on commentary. I feel like the upper Norfair item cleanup in both routes is actually one of the more difficult portions of the run. It might not seem like it because you're not in any danger, you're not going to die or anything like that, but the movement is actually quite tech heavy, and it's, really easy to make mistakes. So this is a place where, you can kind of lose time, and it kind of, does so in sort of a, I don't know if secretive would be the right word, but it kind of sneaks up on you in a way that you wouldn't necessarily expect. So yeah, looks like Zmusic's having some clean rooms here.
Well, and I really like the Bubble Mountain area because we do see a lot of different strats in the Bubble Mountain room to get up to that speed booster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here comes another dangerous spot for Behemoth. He can only take the 2 hits, and good. He only gets... We've had a few runners die to that room because those spikes deal 60 damage. And it is getting that... It is possible, and certainly Behemoth just did it, to get that jump through that room with only 2 hits, but you get that 3rd hit, and that's just it. You're done.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Behemoth managed to get through it with no problem. Because he has only
Absolutely.
44 energy, so that 3rd hit would have done him in.
And sort of ironically here, Behemoth is now grabbing his gravity suit and will now make his way to where Zmusic is now to start his Upper Norfair collection sequence before he heads to Lower Norfair, while Zmusic is now exiting to head over to Wreck Ship to do the same thing Behemoth just did. So this is sort of what you see Zmusic doing right now is basically where the massive amount of time save comes from by doing new route. While you do have slower boss fights because of not having, plasma, for example, Ridley and Mother Brain at the end, you do save a lot of time on backtracking out of Upper Norfair all the way back up to Wreck Ship and then back down again, only to have to go back to Upper Norfair later to go to Lower Norfair. So what you see Zmusic doing right here is stuff that Behemoth will not have to do.
Yeah, it's nice when in new route you only have to go to Norfair once, period, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And to the question in chat about Gravity Suit, in the vanilla game, Gravity Suit does all the things that Varia does. The only difference between in terms of protection is at the very end on Mother Brain's Rainbow Beam. Various suit means only 300 damage, and gravity will be 600 damage, which is the reason that even in New Route you still can't skip Barrier Suit.
Yeah, absolutely. And just in terms of questioning the defensive properties, like not just the protection against heat, but like, you know, their amount of, I guess, mitigation to damage. First of all, real quick, excellent Zmusic strat there. That's the sort of more advanced red tower where you go straight up and then shoot and then down grab. He did an excellent job of executing that strat. But basically, when you grab Varia, you get like 50% damage reduction, and then you get another 50% on top of that when you get gravity. But as it turns out, when you get gravity, you get all of the damage reduction anyway. So the only thing that Varia will add in the New Route, you know, sort of situation where you get gravity first, is it will only add that protection against the Rainbow Beam that Tracy just got done talking about.
Yep.
Now, here's one of the sort of ironic things about New Route, which was not overly apparent to me until I started running it myself. I ran Old Route for a long time, you know, before I ever picked up New Route. I actually found the Upper Norfair sequence to be not easy, but it has some somewhat easier rooms because you have the Spacer Beam. I know everybody memes and talks about Spacer being awful a lot, and it certainly does have its issues. Oh, by the way, Zmusic getting the absolutely beautiful Ocean Fly there
Nice.
with the missile, so great
Nicely
job.
done.
But there are certain rooms that are a little bit easier when you have Ice and Spacer equipped. It means you can run some different strats, and some of those strats can be a little bit more intuitive.
And we do see some old route runners picking up that Spacer Beam, but at this level, it doesn't save enough time for an old route runner. In New Route, you grab Spacer instead of Plasma, essentially. The Plasma being, you don't pick it up till after Ridley, so you're not going to save time there anyway. And the amount of time it saves in the Mother Brain fight, just not enough for the amount of time it takes to pick it up.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Behemoth now picking up his Ice Beam. That's essentially, you know, he only has one beam left, the Wave Beam. But let's watch Zmusic's fight here with Fantoon. He's going to try to utilize some X Factor strats, but he only has one Power Bomb. This is a bit problematic. I assume he's going to use one X Factor and then do some Dopplers. Okay, looks like he had a good first round there. It was a slow, but he did get all the particles, I think. This is looking like either a mid or a slow. Let's find out.
And the one problem with the X Factor is if you don't hit on the X Factor and those particles start flying around everywhere, then you can't shoot anything at that point. And that can be problematic.
Yes, excellent 2-round Fantoon. And also Behemoth just did something in, I want to say in Cathedral there, that is a bit of a new wrinkle in the strat. He killed the little flying guy, but then also killed the Sova with his beam. Most of the time, runners will use a missile to kill that guy. So a little small nuance, but saved, you know, that one missile. So.
And some very nice Ice Beam strats in the Bubble Mountain area.
Yeah, for sure. And also, shout outs to Behemoth for this. He only has one button to be able to do arm pumps. So he mitigates that by doing a mock ball here. It's not quite as fast as if you could double pump, but it's about the same speed as doing a single pump. So he just saves a little hand energy and just does a mock ball and gets down to the end. So
yeah,
really cool strat there.
I love seeing them. Behemoth seems to do more mock balls than just about anybody. I love watching those.
Let's watch Zmusic do the attic here. This is a really big difference between new and old route. It's going to do a left side strat. This one's really tough. Gorgeous.
Yeah. Big fan of those speed keep strats because you can utilize the speed booster without wasting any energy on the actual Shine Spark that a lot of runners will use.
Behemoth, unfortunately, just a little short on that D-boost. Wasn't able to fully clear the edge, but still a pretty fast strat there, D-boosting off that little orb. And looks like Zmusic's getting ready for his Bowling Spark.
Looking good.
One small nuance here about Behemoth. You'll note that he just picked up the Wave missiles. That'll put him at 20, 10, and 5. When he does his world record attempts, he skips over that missile pack. But in this particular scenario, he's only losing a few seconds by picking it up, and it actually makes certain aspects of the run way safer in terms of a race scenario. So I think that's a really nice adjustment that he's made here.
Well, yeah, and because avoiding that missile takes a little bit of extra shenanigans, you're not actually saving the full 7 seconds by skipping it. You're saving more like 4 or 5 seconds by skipping that missile.
That's a great point. And so now Zmusic grabbing his gravity suit, which is right around the time that new route runners would be reaching Lower Norfair, which is where we are. So let's watch Behemoth go after this lava spark here. Looks good so far.
And
Beautiful.
he gets it. If you don't make the
lava, go for the moat ball. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you miss that lava spark, then the general backup strat is to do a gravity jump. Fortunately for Behemoth, he didn't have to do that. I'll also point out that, as Kip said, the gravity suit grab versus the entering of Lower Norfair tend to be about at the same time. So if we go by that, Zmusic may be a little bit ahead, but these are, of course, not precise, so it's hard to say for sure. In any case, it's definitely a close race, which is what we all want to see.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe for average runners that would apply. I think in this case, you can't necessarily rely on it because Behemoth is one of the fastest in the world. So we'll see how his Lower Norfair goes, but I expect him to do everything as normal. There's another huge strat difference there between old and new route. Behemoth had to utilize a power bomb and the iframes to get up the Lower Norfair. Zmusic will do some form of using his plasma beam later, but Behemoth unfortunately took 50 damage from the pirate there trying to do the ball over the head strat. He's not in any, significant danger right this second, but that certainly does remove any potential mistakes he can make here in the next few rooms. So he needs to be really careful. I don't doubt, obviously, his ability, but, you want to be as careful as possible in every scenario. So hopefully nothing weird happens. Z heading up into Meridia here, making his way over to Batwoon. The Meridias, at least the first parts of Meridia, are essentially the same for both old and new route. They just are done at different times. So he'll head over to kill Batwoon. Behemoth opting to only go for the single KO. I think that's a good decision.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
And depending on how many supers he gets from this first pirate, he could actually end up with all health the second one. But no, he only got one drop. So his health should be in perfectly fine shape.
No, he's looking good now. And a full 10 supers. One of the big differences in new route is he will, because Ridley takes the 60 charge shots instead of the 20, he'll also use his supers, because he'll get another free refill of supers when he goes through mini crate later on. So ammo should not be an issue for him. Whereas when Zmusic comes down here, he'll probably do all charge ice wave plasma shots, because it's only 20 shots. It's a little bit slower, but you want to save that ammo for Torian.
Yeah, great point. Z just had a beautiful Batwoon. Very, very fast one-round kill. He's setting up for his full halfie here. Let's see if he gets it. Oh, the unfortunate, what we like to refer to as the goofy quarter halfie, deemed that by Cot Power, if I recall correctly.
That is a good name for it.
Yeah, Z was just a little bit high on that spark. But as Tracy pointed out, Behemoth is having to use, charged ice wave spacer attacks, which means going to have to hit Ridley several more times. So going to utilize those regular missiles and supers. One thing you'll notice about Behemoth is he did not ever unequip spacer or ice. And that's basically showing you that he was not going to use any X factors. So it saves a little bit of time on menuing, but potentially could be a bit of a slower fight. But excellent fight there. The only thing that happened is Ridley trolled him a little bit there. Ridley did a lot of pogo backwards that you don't often see.
And notice now he does unequip the ice and spacer because he'll be using the X factors on Batwoon. No surprise that he skips the Ridley E-Tank here.
Yeah, one thing I will say though is obviously, I mean, I have full confidence that he can get out of here with this much health. I've seen him do it multiple times. But in a race scenario where you don't want to make any mistakes, he might opt to farm this pirate here. I doubt he will, but it's certainly possible. Let's see. Yep, he is. Okay. I don't blame him at all for this decision. In fact, I think it's a really smart decision given the scenario. He's only going to lose a few seconds, but he'll get some extra supers and he'll get, a lot more leeway on the upcoming strats to make sure that he survives. So I really think that's a heady choice.
Yeah, those key hunters, in particular those three musketeers, they control you pretty bad, and doesn't take much for them to get you there.
And in the meantime, Zmusic nailed that spike suit. Beautiful there.
Yeah, very nice
Dragon.
Very nice Dragon fight on that side. The Dragon fight going on at the same time as the Ridley fight.
Yeah, that spike suit's not easy to get.
No, not at all. We'll see Zmusic picking up his Plasma Beam to finish his, not quite finish his beam combo off. He still needs to pick up Ice Beam.
Yeah, he's going to head to pick up Plasma. This is another portion that Behemoth will not be doing. So all this time that you see Zmusic going to pick up Plasma, Behemoth, while adding some time to the boss fights, doesn't have to go do that. Behemoth is going to go for a damageless.
Nice.
The Plasma Spark.
The Plasma Spark.
Excellent. And in the meantime, Behemoth nailing a damageless Three Musketeers. So, man, with runners like this, especially doing 2 routes, it's almost impossible to keep up with everything. Another staple of new route, since there are no power, or since you don't have space jump, runners typically don't use a power bomb in that room with the 2 columns. But he was fast enough to get the ball boost there, so excellent job.
And now Behemoth will go do his Kraid cleanup. You will see, and in fact, you did this several times in the early rounds. Some runners will choose to go like you call it, the Captain Picard route, going Kraid before Ridley. It does add a little bit of safety. It is a little bit more time to go that way. At this point, again, semifinals, all the safety's off. No surprise that Behemoth probably wasn't even considering doing that.
Yeah, I'm not even 100% sure, but I don't think he's done it at all in this particular tournament. But it is something that's safety. Yeah, it's a big safety. I think maybe Zos did it once or twice.
Zos has done it a couple times.
Yeah, and I did it a bunch of times too. But at this point, we're in the semifinals. I don't expect to see very many safeties left.
Nope. Behemoth setting up for the quick kill. Shouldn't be a problem for him. One other difference I'll point out here. In old route, Zmusic can just use a speed booster to get over to that Ice Beam area rather than having to do the mock ball.
Yeah, that's a good point. And he technically does have the option to go north or south here. If I recall, I think Zmusic goes the northern route. So I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure that's what he does in particular. So if he does so, he's going to have to get a mock ball out of this next room back into the long hallway. So let's see how he sets that up real quick.
And
yeah, very nice. And Behemoth has had a really, really nice lower North air outside that, one just missed ball over the head trick. But otherwise, everything's been incredibly speedy. And this Kraid section has been fast too. So I don't know. I can't give you an exact amount, but Behemoth is definitely in the lead at this point.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well. Yeah, we did see Zmusic use the so-called northern route. Theoretically, the southern one is, if done optimally, is supposed to be a little bit faster. It also gives you the opportunity to refill at the energy station there.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, but that amount. I mean, he looks like he's fine. He doesn't have to worry about the lava dive here. He can just space jump his way up. So
Yeah, that is true. I don't expect him to have too much issue, but at the same time, again, you just never really know how things go. No human alive is immune to making a mistake, and he does only have 125 health. I don't expect him to be in trouble, but there are still technically scenarios where something could happen. Ooh, Behemoth just got the worst bot wing pattern and absolutely crushed it. Yeah, very nice. And see, here's another thing. Zmusic is using a health conservation strat there, using the blue suit, space jump, and then mock ball. Ooh, okay, this is kind of what I was talking about. He's going to have to reset this room, and he's already taken 40% of the damage he had left just by getting hit once. Okay, that's much better that time.
Yeah, and to point out, I really like that strat he used to get through the pillars. Again, saving that energy, but you don't see that a lot where you use the speed echoes with the space jump. I love seeing that. I wish there were more places you could use that.
Yeah, and here's Amphitheater, a lot different in old routes since you have space jump. Ooh, Z wants to be careful not to fall there. Okay, he should still be okay. And he's also going to kill 2 of the 3 key hunters in this room, but they're going to be the second and third one instead of the first and second one like a new route. Because he's able to utilize that incredibly powerful plasma beam. That will allow those power bombs to not lag the room quite as much. Behemoth getting the rain dance strat there.
Yeah, you might have noticed when Behemoth went through that room, he did the Shine Spark strat to kill those 2 with the speed echoes, the first 2.
And a first try spike suit for Behemoth as well. Excellent.
Nicely done. He's not going to pick up the space jump. The only room it would possibly help him in is the Coliseum area. With the spike suit, he won't need the space jump for it at all. So it just takes time. The 2 door transitions and a 7-second fanfare, not worth it. No, not worth the trouble.
That's a good point. And Zmusic, unfortunately, just barely missing one of the coolest old route exclusive strats there in terms of old route, new route. He was going for the Plower House. He's going into Ridley with really low health. I don't think he'll have too much trouble, though, because he only has to hit Ridley 20 times with 20 charge shots. But Ridley is, in my opinion, I know a lot of people think Fantoon's a huge troll, but let me tell you, run other categories and you will find out Ridley is the single biggest troll in this game, and he's already given bad patterns to Z twice. If Z gets hit one more time by anything other than a fireball, he will be dead.
Yeah, I find what makes Fantoon hard is the fact that you can't always shoot at him. But the thing that Fantoon does allow you to do is you're not going to ever get soft locked in there running out of ammo. Oh, and there it is. Oh,
see, this is part of the problem with Ridley, is even after you kill him, he has to pick you up or explode in the air. And even though there are ways to manipulate that a little bit, you can't have full control over it. So, I really kind of just want to point out that I think, like, to be completely realistic about this real quick, this is a really good example of exactly how crazy hard this game is. Zmusic is one of the absolute best players in the world, but when you start running at the times that Zmusic does with the old route, or Behemoth, Zost, Oats, do in new route, the margins are so incredibly thin that it is very, very easy to just make a little small error and lose the entire run. So, unfortunately, Z died right there. And it looks like he's not opting to start over, which I certainly don't blame him. Assuming nothing weird happens in Torian for Behemoth, this should be a win for Behemoth here.
He has not officially forfeited. Perhaps waiting to see what happens with Behemoth and Torian, because, weird stuff happens.
That's true. While it might not seem so right this second, I meant to say earlier, Behemoth actually had 5 super missiles exiting Dragon, which in a lot of new route runs is very atypical. I would call that actually having like really good amounts of supers. So, which is crazy because usually in new route, it's very easy to struggle with the super missile drops. And it doesn't mean that he's going to get what he needs here, but he's 17 missiles away from being full on missiles, and until he gets full on missiles, he won't get tier 1 health exclusive drops from the Metroids. And he's also going to need at least 6 more supers than he has currently to be able to kind of go through the end of Torian without having to refill anywhere. So let's see how he manages his ammo and health in this situation.
He's gonna have to really keep track of that ammo because right now he can only kill the Metroids with the supers. Once he gets a few missile refills, he can choose to use regular missiles to kill the Metroids and hope he gets the super drops. When he gets to that last room, he might choose to only kill 2 of the Metroids and then reset the room because they'll respawn if you don't kill all 3.
Beautiful room 1. That's a new wrinkle, and I don't want to not give credit where it's due, but to my knowledge, I'm pretty sure that's a Static non-strat. Static showed me that before. He used a regular missile to knock the first Metroid backwards to put it in a better position to get all the drops. It's a really insane, incredibly intelligent strat.
Okay, so he's got 8 going into this last room. He should be okay. I mean, he should be okay at this point.
Actually, the issue here, though, is health. Because when he has to fire regular missiles, the tier 1 drops are not guaranteed to be health.
Yeah.
You could make the argument that it would have been maybe somewhat a better choice to fire a super and just hope to get lucky with the super drops. But he did come up with a cool strat there to avoid getting hit by the hoppers. So he maintains 61 energy above the 300.
So an interesting question here. Assuming that he's paying some attention to what's going on with Zmusic, he might opt to save once he gets past the baby here. Oh, he gets grabbed, so that maybe makes it a little less likely to save because he'll fill up his energy now, get up to the full 399 instead of what was he at 369. It's a little bit safer, but knowing that his opponent has died and would have to start over, should he not choose to forfeit, may go ahead and save just to be sure.
Absolutely. And, no speedrunner ever wants to miss the baby skip. It's one of the, I mean, you could argue it's the single biggest trick in the run in terms of time lost or saved. But at the same time, assuming that he doesn't have anything weird happen with soft locking at Mother Brain 1 or getting hit by a catch-up, it's pretty much irrelevant in terms of this particular instance because he's not pursuing a PB here. He's just trying to win a race. So assuming he's able to finish here, it shouldn't really matter at all.
Okay, so it does say forfeit on Zmusic's side, but I have not seen anything in SRL that says forfeit. So we'll hold off on calling that official yet. No, and he did not save, so.
Yeah, that's true. But beautiful Mother Brain 1 room there from Behemoth. And now the other sort of major difference between new route and old route. Old route only has to hit Mother Brain 20 times. New route has to hit her 60 times. So we'll get a bit of an extended, fight here. And one thing I think a lot of people that maybe start with old route, or run Hundo exclusively, don't realize is they kind of think Mother Brain 2 is a joke, like, oh, this is the final boss, but it's so easy. I'm telling you, once you have to start hitting her 60 or more times, it starts to become difficult.
It's not a joke at all. I still, if I have the super missiles to do it, and I'm not anywhere near the tier of these runners. Just to give you an idea, I have a bit of an unofficial PB of 144. So just to give you an idea, I prefer to use super missiles if I have them in general, even to the plasma wave charge ice combo.
Yeah, and one thing some people might not be aware of is the most dangerous attack that she has is actually not even really the catch-up. I mean, it kind of is, but the onion rings in some ways are the most dangerous thing. If you accidentally jump at the wrong time and eat a face full of onion rings, they don't grant iframes, and if you get hit by all 4 of them, that's 80 damage. So that can be incredibly, unfortunate and end to run.
Yeah, the ketchup beams are maybe a little bit easier to dodge than some of the other attacks.
Well, Behemoth is through without issue. He was able to use some iframes from the French fry to deal with one of those ketchups back there, but he's done, and now he'll just wait for the cutscene to finish, do his escape, and Behemoth will be moving on to the grand final of this any percent tournament. So congratulations to him. And I do want to go back real quick and just mention Zmusic was on a fantastic run. Again, one of our absolute most talented players in the community. He had a fantastic tournament. To make it even to the semifinals running old route is an incredibly impressive feat. So GG to him on an excellent performance overall.
Well, and I will point out that he is actually one of only, to my knowledge, I've not seen every single race, but to my knowledge, he's one of only 2 people to win in an old route versus new route scenario, where he was running the old route. The other one, ironically, being Just Defend, running old route in a group race against new route, and that's who Zmusic beat in the I want to say round of 16, where JD switched to new route and Zmusic beat him with old route. So.
Interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. Well, I commentated both of those races, so.
Oh, I see.
So that's how I remember that.
So just as a quick heads up before we close this thing out here, we will hang around for a little bit and continue discussing, and hopefully we can get an interview with either one or both players. But that'll obviously be up to them. So Behemoth should clean up Mother Brain 3 here with the Hyper Beam. I think it's 30 shots, if I recall correctly. I actually don't even know. I have never counted it. I just shoot her until she's dead.
I've been told it's 40, but I've never counted them either, so.
Yeah. It's not really one thing. It's not really a situation where you necessarily need to be aware. You just need to do it, so it's not something I've ever worried about. Looks like we were both wrong. It's 36, according to chat.
Okay. You know, I might be confusing it with all the stand-up glitch I've watched in randomizer races, where it's, I guess, 40 shots with the in the stand-up glitch using the Charge Ice Wave plasma.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Speaking of interviews, looks like Zmusic has already joined us. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Z, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Excellent. First of all, congratulations on your run in this tournament, making it all the way to the semifinals, especially being the only semifinalist in using old route. That just absolutely has to be commended.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. This race today was, oh man, it was so much fun. It was really nerve-wracking, but I had a blast being able to run up against someone like Behemoth. So
yeah, absolutely. And you had an excellent run, you know, like you were really crushing a lot of sections. And one thing I was talking about as you headed into Lower Norfair is like, you know, you're one of the best players in the world, and at the same time, this game is so hard, like anything can happen. So can you talk us through a little bit about that Ridley fight? And like, you know, Ridley's such a troll and does so many weird things. Like what happened that kind of gave you some issues there?
I went into the fight a little lower than I would have liked to for a race, but I think one of the first things was when I was jumping over, like there's an opening that I do, and I usually jump over Ridley, and I like managed the head, so I took just that initial 30 damage, and then I don't really know what happened at the end. I don't know. I thought Ridley was going to go up for a swoop, like that's just what it looked like. Down, I think he would have grabbed me if I was like centered on him, but I don't know. I was like in the wrong position. He just immediately killed me. So it was kind of like a unfortunate thing, but I don't know. It's a hard game. It's sloppy leading up to that point. So I can't really blame Ridley too much.
Yeah, like you said, though, it's a tough game, and anything can happen at all times. And just real quick, Behemoth has officially finished in first place with a time of 42:33, excuse me. So GG to him for winning this semifinal match, and he'll move on to the finals to face the winner of the match between Zost and Oats and Goats. That has not been scheduled yet, but I assume will probably be scheduled in the next week. And it looks like we're also joined here by Behemoth. So Behemoth, congratulations on your victory. Tell us a little bit about how you feel about your run. Well, I guess the victory music is all we need, right? Maybe Behemoth isn't quite set up just yet.
Oh,
we'll give him just a second.
I wonder if he's hitting his the wrong button on his. I've done that before, hitting the wrong mic button on.
Maybe Behemoth is tasked.
Well, I mean, technically, this is the most glorious, victorious music in the game, so I guess it probably does wrap up how he feels at the moment.
Maybe that, yeah, exactly. Maybe that's just play that victory music.
Oh, I was ready for the end. So anyway, we'll wait for Behemoth to come back in. So Z, tell us a little bit about your future plans. You know, a lot of people are practicing 80% for the tournament and you know, getting ready for everything. I know that you actually haven't been able to play a ton lately because of Hurricane Florence. So on behalf of everybody in the Super Metroid community, we're incredibly happy that you made it back home safe and that, you know, everything's okay. But what's going to be sort of in the future for you over the next several weeks and months with Super Metroid?
Well, first off, I do appreciate that everyone in the community is really kind. But I think for now, I think I'm going to try and get another PD with Old Route just to get one, you know, since I put a lot of time in. And I guess after that, I'm looking most like 100%, but either or, I'll be doing both in the future here shortly. So I really want to grind those out and try and get a good time.
Yeah, I just want to first of all second what Kip said about the hurricane. I mean, I've never had to deal with that sort of thing. We get tornadoes out here with no warning, so but a little different with the hurricane. So just really glad you're safe, and it was really, I was really happy to see when you finally got this scheduled.
Yeah,
because just I knew once that was scheduled that you were okay. So
I appreciate that. It was fortunately very lucky during this storm. There was a lot of people around me that did lose pretty much everything, so I was very lucky, and I appreciate everyone, like, you know, holding off on the tournament just a little bit until I can get back.
Yeah, and just, we kind of
like
couldn't really hear super great because of the music, but I think, did you say you're going to do some stuff with Old Route, but then start looking at New Route as well?
Right, a New Route, 100%, maybe some low percent categories. I'm not going to like grind them as long as I did Old Route. I'd rather just like move between different categories and take time off as I can, but I'm kind of interested in New Route to see what I could get, and then maybe 100% after.
Yeah, I think we're all excited to see you, you know, participate in some of the other categories and do some stuff. I'm sure you will make quite the impact on the leaderboard in whatever you choose to run. So Z, at this point, you know, I'll just say GG. Thank you again, man. We're going to sit here and try to get Behemoth back on the line, but if you have anything else you'd like the audience to know, go ahead and take care of it. And once again, congratulations on a fantastic tournament.
Hey, thank you guys. I just want to say again, congrats to Behemoth. It was, dude, it was a lot of fun running, man. Glad I had the opportunity, and yeah, congrats again. Like, I look forward to watching the race at the finals.
Well, and let me just
thank
add,
you guys for commentating.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Go
But
ahead.
let me just add that I do believe there is a third place match upcoming for you. So you're still going to get to go. Yeah, that's what it says on the spreadsheet. So still get to face either Oates or Zos. So looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's a nice little surprise.
Well, and it better happen now and not make me a liar. I'll be. But it's on the spreadsheet. Yeah. So if I am a liar, it's not my fault.
Okay. Well,
but yeah. Again,
if that is true, I look forward to it. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. Hopefully, Behemoth's all right. And yeah, thank you guys.
Absolutely, man. Congrats again. So yeah, Zmusic with the I just noticed Zmusic coming in with that sweet 41:17, 1 second faster than the world record there. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with Behemoth here.
Yeah, I just realized that too. He's trying to get it fixed, it looks like, according to chat here. So
cool.
According to the Discord chat here. So
yeah, so we'll wait just a second to try to get Behemoth in here for an interview, and hopefully he can make it. If not, then that's okay. But so yeah, just to talk a little bit more about the tournament. As Tracy pointed out, we believe that there will be a 3rd versus 4th place matchup. So that will happen between Zmusic and then whoever loses the matchup between Oats and Goats and Zost, which I think everybody in the community is incredibly excited about that race as well. So really, if you think about it, we still have several, really sick races left. We got Zost. Oh, go
Again,
ahead.
Farrell in chat, it looks like it's official. He says they added the third place because people complained there wasn't one in the multi-category tourney. So thank you for putting that in there, Farrell, to let us know that yes, I'm not a liar. There is a third place match. And you know what? That's going to be another really good match. Whether Zost goes, we're going to have two really good matches: a first place match, a third place match, one with Behemoth versus one of Zost and Oates, and Zmusic versus the other. Can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, I can't imagine who would have complained about that, but I guess it'll always be a mystery to all of us. But yeah, so as mentioned, we have 3 really great races left. We'll have Oats and Goats versus Zost, and then we'll have the final, and then we will also have Zmusic versus either Oats or Zost. So we still get another chance to watch Old Route in action. However, at this point, that pretty much guarantees that it will be a New Route versus New Route matchup in the final, since Behemoth, Zost, and Oats all run New Route. So really big shout out to everybody that has participated in this tournament, whether New Route or Old Route. We're getting very close to the end, but it's been a fantastic tournament that has provided a lot of entertainment for everybody. Really big shout out to Farrell and Sloters and JD and J-Ro and I think Keku and Punk, and if I'm missing anybody, I'm sorry, but all of the organizers of this tournament. Yeah, Belf. Just putting in a lot of work for everybody, and they're doing it for free. So we just want to really express how appreciative we are for people to take out their time to put up some excellent entertainment for us. And go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah, and let me add, this is my first tournament that I've commentated for, and I have just absolutely had a blast. I mean, you guys all thank me for commentating, but oh my God, I thank you for letting me commentate. I have done so many matches, and I've just enjoyed every single one of them, and I've had some great co-commentators. Thank you to Kip for letting me co-commentate with him. I've been looking forward to doing a match with him. Thank you to Ponk, who's done several matches with me, and Rumblemans has done a few. And I can't even begin to go through all the people that have done matches with me. So I apologize that I'm missing a lot of you, but this has been so much fun. And I didn't get to play in this because frankly, I'm just not ready. Although part of me wishes I had, even though I'm not ready, because there are a lot of newer runners that are like me, and they went out and they did it. And let me put a big shout out to those people for putting themselves on the line. And I'm saying this all now because I don't know if I'll get to do one of the next matches. I haven't a lot of stuff going on that might not allow me to. And plus, there's a lot of other really good commentators out there that also should get a chance to do this. So I just want to thank everyone for allowing me this opportunity. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, my question is, how on earth did the organizers manage to let me and you do this race? I mean, what were they thinking?
I don't know. You got to take what you get, I suppose.
So anyway, we're not sure again if Behemoth is coming back. So I think at this point, it looks like we're getting a question here to Behemoth. So we'll wait just a second, but if he's having some technical issues or can't make it, we'll probably shut it down there. But once again, thanks to everybody at Speed Gaming and for everybody viewing. We hope you enjoyed the commentary as well as the race. I can say with confidence, maybe not on Tracy's end, but definitely on mine, I think the playing was much better than the talking, at least coming from me. So thank you to everybody out there for being so supportive. And I guess we'll say goodnight. Tracy, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think I managed to say just about everything in that last little bit. But just again, thank you to everybody. It's just been so much fun.
Yeah, so if you haven't done so, I feel like at this point everybody should have already done this. Make sure to follow Behemoth. He's still pursuing more world record paces. Make sure to follow Zmusic. Give Tracy a follow here. And Tracy, once again, I really enjoyed doing commentary with you. I know we've been talking about wanting to do it together. Thank you so much, and good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, and as always, as I like to close out, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you may be.